we're going to have a lively, fact-filled discussion about visa-free travel for the Philippines people to the United States. The idea that we should restrict Filipino visas because of the possibility of overstays in an era when American economic refugees are retiring to the Philippines because the cost of living in the United States is too high is ridiculous. So stay tuned. Here we go. Visa-free travel for the Philippines.
What if you could hop on a short 3.5-hour flight from Manila and land on the U.S. territory for a 45-day vacation? Complete visa-free. Right now, there is a major high-stakes political push happening behind the scenes to make this a reality for Philippine citizens. But while the headline sounds incredibly exciting, there is a massive catch you need to know about before you try to book a flight today. In this video, we're breaking down the official economic initiative to open up Guam to Filipinos, who is leading the fight, and where the law actually stands right now.
If you've heard the rumors that a visa-free travel is close, it's because of a dedicated multi-year effort led by former Guam governor and current economic advisor Carl Gutierrez. Since 2019, Gutierrez has been spearheading a massive campaign to officially include the Philippines in the Guam CNMI Visa Waiver Program. The goal is simple: to allow Philippine citizens to enter Guam for up to 45 days for tourism or business without needing to go through the grueling process of getting a standard U.S. visa. And he isn't alone. This movement has heavy backing from the Guam delegate Jim Moylan, local lawmakers, and the Guam Visitors Bureau.
So why are leaders in Guam fighting so hard for us? It comes down to two major things: economy and strategy. First, proponents argue that welcoming Filipino tourists would absolutely supercharge Guam's tourism recovery. Statistics show that when Filipinos travel, we love to shop, eat out, and support local businesses, often outspending traditional tourist markets. Second, leaders like Gutierrez are leveraging national defense. They argue that because the U.S. and the Philippines are critical strategic allies in the Indo-Pacific region, it makes complete sense to drop barriers and strengthen cultural and economic ties between neighbors. Traveling Filipinos are educated, upper-middle income earners, and the old security concerns about overstaying are simply outdated.
But here is the vital reality check for your travel plans right now. These efforts are ongoing. Local officials are actively working with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in Washington, D.C. to push this across the finish line. However, as of right now, the federal government has not officially signed off on it. That means if you are boarding a flight for Guam today, the standard U.S. rules still apply. You must hold a standard U.S. B1, B2 tourist visa or a green card to enter. Do not buy a ticket expecting to get in visa-free just yet, or the airline will deny you at the boarding gate. The momentum is building, with local leaders fighting hard on both sides of the ocean. A visa waiver could completely change the game for Filipino travelers in the near future. What do you think? Would you book a trip to Guam the second this visa waiver passes? Let us know in the comments below. The next segment, we're going to talk about why. Why doesn't Philippines have visa-free travel with the whole United States? And the Guam Visa Waiver Program is a good stepping stone to show that Filipinos can responsibly visit the United States without causing any damage to the American economy. Contrary, they likely would improve economic conditions for America if we were to waive tourist visas, or even loosen some of the other visa requirements for the Philippines. But these are two separate issues, but they are related. Part two of our discussion about expanding visa opportunities for Filipinos going to the United States. Right now, an American citizen can book a flight, land in Manila, and get an automatic visa-free entry to explore the Philippines. If they marry a Filipina, they can easily secure a long-term spousal visa to live, work, and build a life here in the Philippines permanently. But if a Filipino citizen wants to do the exact same thing, just to go visit family, go shopping, or see the Grand Canyon, they have to face a grueling, expensive, and often heartbreaking gauntlet of the U.S. Embassy in Manila. Why is the door so wide open one way, but slammed shut the other? Today, we are diving into the deep shared history of the U.S. and the Philippines, the truth about visa reciprocity, and why dropping visa barriers for Filipinos is a massive win for America. To truly understand why this visa barrier feels so out of place, we have to look at history. The United States and the Philippines aren't just random global neighbors. Our histories are completely intertwined. For over a century, our nations have stood shoulder to shoulder. Filipino and American soldiers fought and bled together in the trenches of World War II to defend the freedom in the Pacific. Today, the Philippines remains America's oldest treaty ally in Asia, serving as a critical strategic partner for national defense and regional security. Beyond military, our cultural ties are seamless. We share a deep love for democracy. The English language and American culture is woven into daily life here. Geopolitically and historically, Filipinos have proven themselves to be America's most loyal, trusted brothers in arms. Yet our travel policies don't reflect that brotherhood. Now, U.S. immigration officials often worry about security or the risk of people overstaying, but entering the visa waiver program actually requires a deep, high-level biometric data sharing between our governments. Filipinos wouldn't just walk on the planes blindly. They would pre-clear online using the ESTA system 72 hours before departure. This automated screening vets travelers against global criminal and intelligence watch lists. By automating travel for trusted low-risk Filipino families, tourists, and spouses, the U.S. Embassy in Manila could finally clear its massive backlog and focus on its resources on genuine security threats. It makes the borders smarter, safer, and infinitely more efficient. True alliances are built on mutual respect, trust, and shared freedom. Dropping the visa barrier for Filipinos is a matter of economic strategy, border security, and historical fairness. What do you think? Is it time for the United States to grant visa reciprocity to the oldest Asian ally? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And keep in mind, Japan and South Korea have already had visa waiver programs, very successful programs. So let us know in the comments, and we'll move on to the next segment. All right, next, this is the big one here. When you look at how the United States manages its visa waiver program, the contrast between how the Philippines is treated versus regional neighbors like Japan and South Korea is incredibly striking. It exposes a deep sense of geopolitical unfairness, especially given the shared blood, history, and unmatched visa reciprocity the Philippines has offered America for decades. The breakdown contrasts the visa situation, highlighting the structural double standard in how the U.S. treats these major Asian allies. Number one is the glaring contrast, visa waivers versus the embassy gauntlet. The difference in everyday travel accessibility between a Philippine passport and a Japanese or South Korean passport is vast. Japan and South Korea, the golden ticket, the citizens of Japan, which joined the visa waiver program in 1988, and South Korea, which joined in 2008, can book a flight to any U.S. state completely visa-free. They simply fill out a quick, low-cost electronic system for travel authorization, ESTA, form online, get approved in minutes, and land in America for up to 90 days. The Philippines has to go through a gauntlet. Despite being one of America's closest historical allies, Filipino citizens must undergo a notoriously stressful, months-long, and expensive interview process at the U.S. Embassy in Manila. Even wealthy upper-middle-class Filipinos with stable jobs face high rejection rates based on arbitrary consular suspicions of intent to overstay. So, again, these are our allies. This is how we treat the spouses of American citizens. It needs to change. All right, let's get into the unfairness of it all now. Breaking down the double standard. When you look at the historical, cultural, and reciprocal factors, the strict U.S. stance on the Philippines reveals a deep lack of symmetry compared to its East Asian neighbors. The ultimate elephant in the room is visa reciprocity. The most profound unfairness lies in how the respective countries treat American citizens. The Philippine hospitality. The Philippines offers unmatched structural friendliness to Americans. A U.S. citizen can land in Manila completely visa-free for 30 days. Furthermore, if an American marries a Filipino, the Philippine government provides exceptionally straightforward long-term spousal pathways like the 13A non-quota immigrant visa and Bellic Bayan status, allowing them to live, work, and retire in the country with ease. And I'm living proof of that. Japan and Korea's terms. Well, Japan and South Korea offer visa-free entry to American tourists. Their long-term immigration, residency, and spousal laws remain notoriously rigid, fiercely protective, and difficult for Americans to fully assimilate into. We let them walk into the U.S. visa-free, but not the Philippines. The double standard. The Philippines has fully opened its doors to allow Americans to travel, live, and settle down easily, and I can attest to that firsthand. Yet Washington refuses to return the gesture, even just for short-term Filipino tourists wanting to visit their families. Not the way you treat friends. Shared history and sacrificial bonds, especially considering our history, our shared history. The U.S. often cites its ironclad alliance with Japan and South Korea, but the historical bond with the Philippines is deeply rooted in shared sacrifice. The Philippines is America's oldest treaty ally in Asia. Filipino and American soldiers fought, bled, and died side by side in the trenches of World War II, such as in Bataan and Corregidor, to defend the Pacific democracy. By contrast, Japan was a former wartime adversary, and South Korea's alliance developed later during the Cold War. Despite the deep-running blood alliance with Manila, the U.S. has continually prioritized East Asian economies for border openness over its most loyal historical brother-in-arms. The economic and cultural paradox. The primary excuse used by the United States Department of Homeland Security to deny Philippines a visa waiver is the country's lower per capita GDP and statistical fear of visa overstays. However, this outdated metric ignores modern reality. Premium consumers. The modern rising Filipino middle and upper class are premium travelers. When Filipinos visit America, they are high-value consumers who shop heavily, stay in hotels, and spend millions across states like California, Hawaii, and New York. Cultural congruence. Unlike Japan and South Korea, where language barriers are prominent, try speaking English in Japan and see how many people understand you. It's a totally different ballgame. The Philippines is one of the largest English-speaking nations in the world. Filipino culture is heavily westernized, deeply aligned with American values, and completely familiar with U.S. society. Truth. Why the U.S. approach needs to change. By keeping the door heavily fortified against the Philippines while granting effortless access to Japan and South Korea, the U.S. sends a damaging diplomatic message that it values economic metrics over historical loyalty and true visa reciprocity. Implementing the automated ESTA system for the Philippines wouldn't just be an act of economic strategy. It would be a long overdue correction of historical unfairness, honoring a century of shared blood and reciprocal history. For my closing statement, I'm going to wing it over our script that we've made. So, at the end of the day, the Philippines makes it very easy for Americans to visit as tourists, as spouses of Philippine citizens. The United States makes it exceptionally difficult. When you land in Manila as an American, and from many other countries as well, I'll add, but as an American, they give you 30 days free visa. If your wife's a Filipina and you entered the Philippines with her, you get a year free Balikbayan visa. If you want to stay longer than that, you can get a 13A spousal visa. Not very expensive, gives you a lot of rights to live and work in the Philippines. The United States has tremendous requirements. They have income requirements. They have medical requirements. Karen would have to get multiple vaccinations. I didn't have to get any vaccinations to come here. I didn't have to get a medical examination. I didn't have to show any records. All I did was I just went to their local NBI, proved that I wasn't a criminal to them by giving them my information, and that was filled out. So we filled out some paperwork, and that's it. 13A visa, just like that. For me to bring Karen to America, it's an ordeal, and she would have already been visited my parents by now. Come back if it wasn't for this strict visa regime. I don't want to subject her to the vaccination regime and the interview regime, and then we're going to spend all kinds of extra money. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's like, it's an insult. It's an insult to me as an American who's married to a Filipina. I think it's an insult to the U.S.-Philippine alliance here. We need to treat the Filipinos like the friends that they are. They bled alongside America in World War II, and then they went into Korea and they bled alongside America in Korea to save Korea. And ironically, Korea gets to enter the U.S. visa-free, and so does Japan, and Philippines is left out. And we've got a lot of people in the United States that will say, oh, they'll overstay. I want to tell you something. You've got drug cartels running rampant in the United States, You've got people getting birthright citizenship from fertility clinics from our strategic adversaries that are becoming citizens. You've got all kinds of chicanery going on that's far worse than anything any Philippine citizen is going to do overstaying a visa. I mean, a few people from any country are going to overstay a visa at any given time. It's making a mountain out of a molehill, but what matters at the end of the day is that the alliance should be treated strong, and the Philippine people deserve to be treated fairly. As an American, it's the right thing to do for America and for the Asia Pacific region. God bless everybody. Tell me what you think in the comments. Be nice, and let's try to be constructive here. I think you Americans out there, I think we can get this done. It's not a pipe dream. We can do this. Okay, we've got the facts and the reason and the logic on our side. If a Korean can do it, a Japanese can do it, a Filipino can do it too. God bless everybody. God bless America. God bless the Philippines.